Hello everyone, I'm Karuna Babbar. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Now starting with NumPy today, as you can see on my screen, NumPy is a general purpose array processing package. It provides us high performance multi-dimensional array objects and tools for working with arrays. Arrays can store same data types, whereas lists can store different data types also, right? Now, how we can import NumPy? I can simply type, see here, let me show you. I can simply type import NumPy, or if I want that every time I need to type NumPy again, then I can give a shortcut as. So as represents here, it's shortcut. Now, whenever I have to call this library, I just need to type simple np and it will go well with the function, right? So here I am importing NumPy as np. Now I have taken my first list here and the list contains 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now array, if I say array is equal to np dot array, my list. Now type array, what exactly it is showing? Type is what? In my previous video I told you type is a function which gives me the data type, right? Now if I type array, now it is showing me that it is numpy's nd array, n dimensional array. Its data type is n dimensional array, right? Print array, if I say I am giving the command print array, it gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now coming to another function which is shape. Shape is a very important function of NumPy, wherein shape gives us the number of rows in columns. As here I have already I have singly declared it's a one dimensional array. So if I use this function array dot shape, it gives me 5 comma. Why it gives me 5 comma? Because it's a one dimensional array and it doesn't find any column regarding to it, so that's why it is giving me 5 comma. Now moving on to multi-nested array. Now multi-nested array, by multi-nested array I mean I will declare few of the three arrays here, like my list 1, 2, 3, and as you can see on my screen, let me execute it. Okay, now in these arrays will be again adjusted in one of the array variable. See here, array is equal to np dot array, and I am giving all the arrays which I had earlier defined here, and when I execute this array, it is giving me the result, the output as a nested, multi-nested array. Right now, as you can see, it's a double. See here, the thing I am highlighting for you. Double braces means that now it becomes multi-dimensional array. Now if I say I am again calling my shape function here, array dot shape. Now it is giving me what? It is giving me that this array contains 3 rows. The first 3 means these are the number of rows, and 5 means these are, it is having 5 columns. Yes, it is having 5 columns. So the first digit contains the number of rows and the second digit contains the number of columns. That is what exactly two-dimensional array is, right? If we have three-dimensional array, then we will get 3 square braces here. For two-dimensional, we will get 2 square braces, and for one-dimensional, it will be only 1 square brace. Now array dot reshape, we have, if we have a shape function, we have a reshape function also. Now what exactly reshape function will do? It will do the opposite of it. It will convert my rows into columns and columns into rows. See here, when I execute it, it simply works like this. But it will definitely going to give an error. Let me show you here. array dot reshape, and if I give 5 comma 4, then it will give me error. What error it is giving me? See here. Cannot reshape array of size 15 into shape 5 4. Yes, absolutely, because my array elements are of the size 15, and now I want to reshape them into 5 by 4 column, which is not possible for the function to execute. That is why it is giving me error, right? Okay. Now assessing the array elements. Now, how can we assess our array elements? Array.np.array, I have defined one more array, and by simply giving the index, I can assess my array element. See here. If I am giving the index 2 here, now index 2 represents 6, so that is why I'm getting the output of 6 here. Again, here I have initialized one more array, two-dimensional array, right? Now if I print my array, it is giving me two-dimensional. How come you know that it is a two-dimensional array? As I told you, it gives that in double square brace, right? Now moving on further, if I write array and in the square brace, if I give first colon, that means as the first space represents two rows and the second space represents two columns, and if I am giving a colon in my first space, then it represents all the rows, and if I am giving second colon in the second space, that means it represents all columns also. So when I execute this particular command, it will going to give me all the rows and all the columns. Now let me change this. See here. Now I'm giving, at the first space I'm giving colon, but at the second space I'm giving it 3 colon. That what exactly it means? 3 colon, what exactly it means? From third column onwards. So now as you can see, all the rows but of the third column. Now as you know, array indexing starts from 0, so 0 column, first column, second column and the third column. That is why it is giving me only the third column, and third columns all rows. That is why the output is 5 to 7. Again, see here, array 1, and if I want to execute second row and second columns element, I'm just giving that, then it is giving me the value 3. Why it is giving me the value of 3? Let me tell you here. Okay, see here, why it is giving me the value of 3? This is 3, right? Because 0, 1 and 2, second row and second column, so 0, 1 and 2, so that's why it is giving me 3 output here. Now again, moving on further, see here, array 1, 2 colon 2 colon. Now what exactly it means? It means second row and second column, second row and second column onwards. Now second row is what? This is the second row, isn't it? This is the second row. Okay, now as I can show you, this is the second row and this is the second column. That's why it is giving me 3 7, right? Okay, moving on further. Now I have another inbuilt function, that is arange, and believe me guys, this is really very useful function. What exactly it gives me? It gives me the privilege that I can automatically set my range, and it will provide me the numbers accordingly. So here I'm initializing my array2 variable, and wherein I am using this arange function, np.arange, right? NumPy is giving me the privilege of arange function. So here I am setting 0 to 10, so it will going to print the numbers from 0 to 10 on 10 and See the output. Automatically it sets the range from 0 to till 10. So from 0 to 9 it gives me the output, right? Again, here I can specify the step number also. Step size, that is, if I want to give the range from 0 to 10, but my step size is 2. So I am having the output 0 to 468. In a similar way, let me show you one more example of it. Array 2 is equal to np dot a range, and here I am giving 0 is the first step and the last step, and the step sizes say 3, right? Now what I'll be getting, right? Oh, let me print it also, right? Okay, so here you can see 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Is it clear to you now? Okay, moving on further. Inbuilt functions, linspace is also there. Linspace, basically what exactly it do for us? See, NumPy gives us the function linspace, wherein you can start and stop, you can give your start and stop number, and the number means how many points you want to in between the start and the stop. See here, from linspace I am giving linspace starting from 1 till 10, and I am giving the number 50 in between, so it automatically splits my 1 to 10 range between the 50 steps. See here, when I execute it, it gives me like this, right? Okay, now if I say here I have changed the value of an array from fourth index, see here. Okay, let me show you one more example here. Okay, I have given one more array here. See, from 0 to 10, right? Now if I say from fourth, this first space was of row, so if I say from the fourth row the value is 100, then what exactly it will change? It will, from the fourth index onwards, it is going to change the value of the array. See here, 0, 1, 2, 3 remains same, and after the from the fourth index it is giving me the value 100 here, right? Now here I am assigning array 4 the same array as of the array 3, but if I change the values of this array, and it will change the values of array 3 also. See here, this is just an example just to show you how it works. Now array 3 I have defined earlier. Now array 4 is equal to array 3. That means what? It will contain the same values as it was in the array 3. But if I change here the array 4, from the fourth index I am giving 500. See here, 500, and now if I execute array 3, it is giving me the same value. So what exactly it has done? It has done the array 4, when it is assigned this previous array, it is replacing its values also, right? But if we want that assigned another variable, our previous array should not change, we should not change the values in our actual array, we can use the copy or broadcast functions. We do have copy and broadcast functions wherein the values in the previous array won't be changed. See here, I have taken one more example. Array is equal to np dot, again I have used a range function here. See here, right? Now array 1 is equal to array 1, I have taken another array, and which has been assigned as array, but here I am copying it. I am using the inbuilt function copy here. Print array. See here, now in the first step what exactly it is printing? It is printing 1, 2, 3, 4 till 10, right? Now if I change array 1, that is from the third index, I am giving the 100 value, right? I am giving the 100 value. So what exactly it is showing me? It is showing me 100 values from third index or from the fourth index. right? And if I want to now, if I print the array, the actual array was array, so if I print this, it will show me its intact values, that was 1 to 10. So this is the difference, that copy function will copy that array, but it will not change the actual values in the previous copied array, right? So now let me show you another few of the very useful exploratory data analysis functions here. Let me take one variable here and I have assigned two value. Now if I say array is less than 2, what exactly it will do? It will check the values in array, only one is less than 2, then all the other values are above 2 or equal to 2, so it is giving me false. See here, by simply giving one statement, I can check value whether the values are greater than the variable or not. So it is giving me in boolean true, and then the rest is false, 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 because my array is from 1 to 10 and only one value is less than 2 and all other are above 2 or equal to 2, right? Now if I want to check the only element which is less than 5, how can I simply use the mathematical operation here. See here, array is less than 5, yes, the values which were less than 5 given as an output here. Again I'm multiplying my array with 4, all the elements will be multiplied by 4. If I divide my array by 3, all the values will be divided by 3. See here, I have taken the modulus of 2 again, right? So np.ones is another function of NumPy. What exactly it do? It will provide me ones in a matrix form. By default, its data type is float. By default, its data type is float. See here. If I execute, it is giving me array 1.1.1.1. So what exactly it shows? That it is giving me array of ones, one dimensional array of ones, but in a data type float, right? But if I want to change its data type, I need to give its argument as d type is equal to int. In my second cell, I have executed it, right? But if I want to take ones for second 2 rows and 5 columns, now see here, I can give the arguments according to my choice. Here I have given np.ones for 2 rows and 5 columns and d type remains int only, that's why. Now the another very basic and very useful function that which NumPy provides us is the random number generation. So if I type np.random.rand, it provides me random numbers through normal Gaussian distribution. Many other functions are also there, the NumPy provides us, and they are using different Gaussian different distributions, right? So if I simply type np.random.rand 3:3, that is 3 rows and 3 columns, it provides me every time whenever I execute it, it will give me different set of random numbers every time. The more you execute, different random numbers will be generated every time, right? Now we can also generate random numbers by using rand n. I'm highlighting here rand n function. Now what exactly this function is? This function provides me random numbers from with the help of standard normal distribution. I suggest you all that please go through this Gaussian distribution and standard normal distribution, which is a statistical part of Python, and NumPy documentation is also provided for Gaussian distribution as well as for standard normal distribution. You, as beginners, you must go through what exactly the Gaussian distribution. You might have studied it in your previous classes also, but it is my humble request to all that you must go through their documentation also, right? So randn, randint, rand simple rand, all these are the functions, inbuilt functions of NumPy, which gives us the random numbers, right? Now here I am importing another two library files Seaborn and Pandas, which I'll be discussing in my next videos. But here, because of the work I needed, that's why I simply import both of them. Right now, what exactly I have done here? As the asterisk sign shows that it is still processing, it is still taking the library files into this particular file. So when the asterisk stops, that means it simply imports the both the library files into the file. See here, now the number has changed. Right now I have used Seaborn dot disk plot. I have taken here. I'll explain disk plot in my Seaborn video. When I in my next videos, the Seaborn video would be there, wherein I will explain how disk plot, join plot will work in Seaborn. Right here, right now I am taking just a simple example. I have taken PD, that is for pandas, and a simple data frame have been taken for array. Now array I have exchanged from 9 to 1, right? Reshaped it. I have reshaped my array from 9 to 1. See here, it is plotting, right? Now what exactly it is? It is showing me the acute density, right? Now again I am using the random number function, but this time I am using randint. Randint is another inbuilt function to generate random numbers, right? So now here I am giving three arguments. What are these arguments? From starting from 0 to 100, and my step size is 8. Now that it will generate any random number from 0 to 100 and 8 numbers. I need only 8 numbers in total, so that is why it is giving me 8 numbers. Every time I execute it, every time it generates a different set of numbers. See here, I'm executing it more than twice or thrice, and every time it is giving me another set of random numbers. So this is also an inbuilt function for randint, right? So again, I'm using np.random.randint, and I'm reshaping it to 2 rows and 4 columns. Now what exactly it will do? It will provide me the array, two-dimensional array from the values 0 to 100 and 8 in total. That is why I have reshaped it into two rows and 4 columns. Right now here, I have used random sample. Now what exactly this function is? See, I always recommend you to press, whenever you type any function, just press tab and shift key. It will give you the description of that particular function, right? See here, as you can see on my screen, it gives you the each and every bit, every description of that particular function, right? See here, rand and randf, random integers, random sample, randint, everything is provided here. Every single function is provided. The description of it is provided here, right? Now I am giving it from one row and five columns. See here, 1 row and 5 columns, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I am generating random sampling, and that is these functions are very useful when we need to perform exploratory data analysis on our data sets. We will going to know more about them in my next videos. Thanks for watching.